Welcome back for another week of my picks, and honestly, last week I might as well have just been guessing because I went 8-8, even worse than week one. I went 10-6 week one, not horrible, but I was hoping for like 70%. I went in the wrong direction. I went 8-8. Just some of the close games didn't go my way. Some of the upsets I thought would happen didn't happen. I don't know, man. It was a weird week because I went 8-8 on just the straight up games, but I ended up going like positive on picking the lines. So very weird. Philadelphia, Minnesota, the week started off so well for me. It started out so well because Philly, Minnesota, I picked that game perfectly. I picked the Eagles to win, but Minnesota to cover. They end up winning by 6. The Eagles do. So that started out so perfect, but then, the Packers lost their game. I got Buffalo right. They blew out the Raiders. But the Bengals lost. Detroit lost. The Colts did win. Chiefs won, but I got to stop having faith in the Bears. I got to stop having faith in the Chargers. I did last second on that 49ers-Rams game. I got that perfect because I picked the 49ers to win, picked the Rams to keep it within an 8-point game, though. They were down by 10 with 4 seconds left, and they kicked a field goal to make it a 7-point loss. So that got me that perfectly correct. That was pretty funny. But overall, a bit of a rough week for me. Very strange, though, that I did better on the lines than I did on just straight picking the games. But yeah, not a great week. If you gave this slate of games to a person that has never watched football in their lives, they would have got the same score as me, probably, if they just guessed. So yeah, not great, not ideal, not what you want. But that takes me to, 18-14 on the season, just picking the games. But I went 9-6-1 on the lines last week. So that's pretty good. That's not bad. I'll take that. The 9-6-1 is the push. Carolina and New Orleans pushed. So that's that one. Anyways, let's get to what you came here for, the week 3 picks. Week 3 picks, starting out with Thursday Night Football. 49ers Giants. A line of 10 is not something I think a lot of people would have expected just 3 weeks into the season for two teams that made the playoffs last season in the NFC. But, if you've watched the first 2 weeks, you know why the line is like this. The 49ers are 2-0. They've looked really good. And the Giants got crushed by the Cowboys 40-0 in week 1. And then almost lost to the Cardinals, who we expect to be the worst team in the league last week. Only came back on a miraculous comeback, mostly because, let's be honest, the Cardinals don't really want to win games, although they've been playing games close. So a 10 line, especially now that Saquon Barkley seems like he's hurt, seems understandable now. It really does. And it's a line that I wasn't sure if I was going to take. You can see here, I even put the check over on the Giants. But honestly, I think I am going to take the 10. I'll eat the 10 points. I just don't see the Giants offense doing enough against this elite San Francisco defense without Saquon Barkley on the field. And it seems like he's going to miss 2 to 3 weeks, I think they said. Without him, he's their most explosive weapon. I don't see this offense doing enough to stay within 10. Mostly because, with Jimmy Garoppolo, this 49ers team was mostly defense, but their offense was lacking. Now with Brock Purdy, I'm not saying he's an elite quarterback by any means. I'm not sure he's a top half quarterback. But he's got this offense doing pretty well. So I'll say that. So they can definitely score points. They can definitely win by more than 10 against this Giants team without Barkley. On to the Browns and the Titans. This line was a lot bigger before the Monday Night Football game. Obviously, we know why. The unfortunate injury to Nick Chubb has kind of shrank the lines. I mean, he's going to be out for the season. I was going to say, I hope he comes back fast. This is going to be a rough comeback for him. I think he'll be, I just hope he's going to be able to come back next season because that injury was brutal. If you have not seen it, please do not watch it. It's bad. It's really bad. So don't watch it. Even so, I'm still picking the Browns because the backup's name, Jerome Ford, he's a rookie. He actually looked pretty good. He looked pretty good. He went over 100 yards on the game, I believe. So I would still take the Browns to win the game against this Titans team that I know beat the Chargers last week, but still against a bad defense in the Chargers, which they're just poorly coached. They have a lot of talent defensively, but they're extremely poorly coached right now. They still weren't able to put up a massive amount of points. In their week 1, they looked anemic, and they still don't have an identity offensively. Tajay Spears, the rookie, is still getting a lot of snaps. Even passing the ball, Tannehill still looks rough. DeAndre Hopkins isn't getting the massive amount of targets that you would expect that he's gotten his entire career. So I just don't see this Titans offense doing much against this Cleveland Browns defense that has been elite. So even without Nick Chubb, I don't think this team changes all that much. They're still going to be a run-heavy team. I think Jerome Ford can be good enough to make that happen. And this defense is elite, and this is elite enough to cover for what Watson has been producing, or the lack thereof of Watson producing. I think people are going to have to come to terms with the fact that he is not going to return to what he was in Houston anytime soon. So, yeah. On to Falcons-Lions. This one is tough for me. I picked the Lions last week. I'm still going to pick the Lions this week, even though the Falcons did win. I'm conflicted about the Falcons because they look good. They look good defensively. Their run game is probably the best run game in the league, but their passing is just, when you have two really, what I see in my eyes as elite weapons in Drake London and Kyle Pitts, and you can't even get the targets to them, really. Week 1, Drake London gets 0 catches, I believe. This week, he had a much better week. But Kyle Pitts still just not getting any red zone targets, any target share at all. Jonnu Smith is out-targeting him right now. So, I don't know. The Lions' run defense does concern me in this matchup. That's why I think it is going to be a close matchup, if I had to guess. A 3 line is very close. I will take the Falcons to keep it within 3, but I'm going to take the Lions to win the game outright. I think it'll be a 2 or 1 point game, but I like what the Lions are doing offensively. Offense was not the concern last week. They were really good offensively still. Even though Amon-Ra St. Brown didn't have a touchdown, they were still really good. They have other weapons. He's not the only one there, so that's not a concern. David Montgomery going down with an injury does concern me, but it also opens the door for Jahmyr Gibbs to get more carries, which I like. So I'll take Detroit to bounce back. And I think they can do better defensively against a team that struggles massively to throw the ball. On to a very close line, Packers-Saints, only -2 for the Packers. Honestly, I'm going to take the upset here. I'm going to take the Saints to win this one. And obviously that means they will cover the line in that case. To me, honestly, I am surprised the Packers are favored here. Not that I'm low on the Packers. If anything, they've overexceeded my expectations coming into the season so far, especially Jordan Love. But on the same hand, they had a great week 1 offensively. At the same time, we know why. The Bears' defense is horrific, right? They gave up 38 to the Bears, and then they give up 27 to Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers, right? The Bears' defense is not what you should be looking at that matchup to say, oh, that's what Jordan Love is going to do for the rest of his career or the rest of the season, right? Especially when the Saints have been an elite defense so far this year. I expect them to be an elite defense going forward through the rest of the year. And they've won 2 games now. They're 2-0 and really have not been their best offensively. Not the best that I think they can be. So if they can turn that up, I don't know if they can. We'll see if they can take it to another level. But if they can, this is going to be a much better New Orleans team than I expected. And this is going to be a team that I think should be favored against the Packers, but I will happily take the points here. Dolphins, Broncos, I will absolutely take the Dolphins here. They look really, really good. Tua is looking better and better every season now. Every game, he seems to get better. I have a lot of trust in this Miami team. Offensively, they are clicking. Mike McDaniel's, even last year, started the season very well. Starting the season here very well. And the 6.5 line, I will also take Miami to cover. I don't see it with this Denver offense. It's too inconsistent. They started the game off really well last week and then just fell apart towards the end until the last drive. And really, not even the last drive. That last drive, it was just a Hail Mary that was short of the goal line, got tipped up 3 times, and then he catches it, right? It should have been a tie game. I understand that. There was, PI on the 2-point conversion. Still, they put themselves in that situation by blowing that lead. I can't trust them to stay within a touchdown of Miami when they have these halves where they struggle that much. I think Miami's just going to run up the score if you do that in any quarter. So I'm not going to take Denver to stay within that point range. And then we have a straight pick. Even odds here of Vikings and Chargers, and 2 0-2 teams. 2 teams that have really struggled. 2 teams that I would have expected to get at least 1 win in these first 2 games. And 2 teams that are absolutely desperate for a win. It's hard to see either of these teams going 0-3, but one of them is going to have to, and I think it's going to be the Chargers, as I'm going to pick the Vikings. I'm going to take the home field advantage. There's a lot of pressure on both of these teams, 2 teams that made the playoffs last year. Did the Chargers make the playoffs last year? They did, yeah. They blew that lead to the Jags in classic Chargers fashion. I just feel like this Chargers team is so poorly coached. It's so obvious that they have a lot of great talent, and this coaching is just abysmal. And I think he might have lost the locker room at this point, honestly. I think Brandon Staley, this is his last year, and especially if they lose this game, he might not make it. He might not make it to midseason. So I am going to take the Vikings. Obviously, that means I take the line because the line is 0. Yeah, but man, 2 teams I would not have expected to be 0-2 at this point. And talking about a team I didn't I could have seen the Patriots going 0-2 to start the season. They're favored against the Jets, even though the Jets are at home. This one's a tough one for me. The Patriots haven't exactly looked bad, and I think what ends up happening with the Patriots defense and Bill Belichick, he makes Zach Wilson types, young, inexperienced quarterbacks. He makes them struggle. He makes them sweat. He makes them panic, and he makes them have a bad day. And I think that is probably what is going to happen here. So I will also take the Patriots here. 2.5 is a very close line. If it was 4, I'd take the Jets, but 2.5 is a very close line. I expect it to be a very close game, but I'll take the Patriots to win in that one. And then Bills Washington. Washington has played everybody close in their 2 wins. Another team I would not have expected them to be the 2-0 teams, while the Chargers and the Vikings sit at 0-2. But man, the NFL is just crazy like that sometimes. I think things will balance out though. I think the Bills will give them their first loss. If they don't, my friend Zach is going to be insufferable if his Commanders go 3-0. So I am hoping that the Bills win. I do think the Commanders have played everybody close. I don't think that changes. I think that's just a fact of their style of play. Just the way that, they're going to run the ball a lot. Their defense is good. They're going to make you run the ball a lot. I think the Commanders keep this closer than people expect, closer than 6.5, but I will take the Bills to win, probably by a field goal, maybe 4 points, something like that. But I will take the Bills to win outright. Jacksonville Texans, it's not even an option for me here. Jacksonville, obviously, to win. Their offense looked bad last week, but that is just a factor of, the Chiefs' defense looked really good, a lot better with Chris Jones out there. They had some missed opportunities, some missed drop touchdowns, couldn't get 2 feet in on a touchdown as well. So I think Jacksonville will bounce back from this. I wouldn't be too concerned. And especially against Houston, this is just a tune-up game for them. I think this is a clear win for them. I think they could even cover the points here. It's not a guarantee. 9.5 is a lot, but I will eat the points there as well. Baltimore, Indianapolis could be more interesting dependent on if Anthony Richardson is playing or not. I'm not sure if he is going to be. I hope he does. He is incredibly exciting to watch. He had 2 first quarter, let alone first half, first quarter rushing touchdowns. I would really love to have him back because he's on my fantasy team, but just more importantly that he's healthy, and I would love to see him out there to play. That would be awesome, especially to see him in a matchup against Lamar Jackson, possibly the 2 foremost rushing quarterbacks going forward in this league. That would be incredibly exciting. I would be very disappointed if he doesn't play. I think that if he plays, I would honestly take Indianapolis to keep it within 8. All things considered, especially considering how well Gardner Minshew played last week to end the game, I think they're not going to rush him back. I think they'll play it a little more cautious with Anthony Richardson, let him sit. So I will take Baltimore to take I'll eat the points there, win by more than 8 against Gardner Minshew. Carolina Seahawks, I believed in Carolina the first 2 weeks. I'm not going to do it here. Their passing offense looks really bad. Bryce Young has struggled a lot, way more than I thought he would. If anyone was going to struggle of the rookie quarterbacks this early, I thought it would be CJ Stroud. I thought it would be possibly Anthony Richardson. I didn't think it would be Bryce Young. I understand he doesn't have the weapons, but he's just making a lot of simple mistakes. He's missing his throws, missing his reads, really easy ones too. So it's got me a little concerned. I think in the long run he'll be fine, but I don't see a big change happening from last week to this week. The Saints defense is very good. So maybe on the bright side, if he faces a bad defense, maybe he'll look a little better. But this Seahawks team, it's not a bad defense. It's really not. But the Panthers defense, I would have said, is not a bad defense either. They're dealing with quite a few injuries. With that fact in mind, and with the offensive struggles in mind, I will take Seattle to cover as well. All right, on to the 2 biggest spreads of the week. We got Chiefs, Bears, Dallas, and Arizona. For the Chiefs and the Bears, I wouldn't have picked them to win this game either, obviously, but the Bears have looked even worse than I would have expected. I was hoping Justin Fields would take a jump, even if Matt Eberflus wasn't the coach of the future that I did not foresee him to be. I believed in Justin Fields, and it honestly looks like he has regressed. I have to come to terms with that, I think. So there, obviously, just outright, there's no chance that I'm picking the Bears here. But even on the line, a 12.5 line, the largest of the week. Man, I just don't know what this Bears team can do right now. It's not like the Chiefs had an elite game last week offensively. They only scored 17 points. But even so, I will take them to torch the Bears defense, because that Bears defense gave up 27 last week to the Buccaneers and Baker Mayfield. And speaking of, we're going to talk about them in a little bit. 2-0 is not something I foresaw for them, by the way. But yeah, this Bears team, they gave up 27 to them. They gave up 38 to Jordan Love and the Packers. So this is the first time they're facing really an elite offense. What are the Chiefs going to do to them, right? Probably, it might not stay under 40, to be honest. So we'll see. We'll see there. But I'll take the Chiefs 12.5 line there too. That's a lot of points to eat. Speaking of a lot of points, like I said, Dallas, second largest line of the week. I'm going to take Dallas, obviously. I'm not picking Arizona. I think they're trying to lose. But they are also trying to keep things competitive, and they have kept things competitive for back-to-back matchups now. They have kept things close. They lost by 3 to the Giants after having a huge lead. I understand that's not a good sign that they blew that massive lead, but that also shows they can put up points on the board. They can, if you're not paying attention, if you're not coming into the game ready, they're gonna make you pay, right? And they also almost beat the Commanders as well. So a 12 line, I know this Cowboys team is a lot better than either of the teams they've played up to this point, but since the Cardinals have played the teams close so far, I will take them to keep it within 12. I don't know if it's going to be a field goal game. I'm not going to go that far, but maybe a 10-point game. 12 points is just too much for me to say for a team that has kept 2 games really, really close. On to the weird line of the week for me, a line I was not expecting to see. The Steelers are dogs against the Raiders. So I will absolutely take the Steelers here. Not that I am super confident in this Raiders team by any means. They were gifted a defensive touchdown, I believe, last week. If it wasn't for that, they end up losing that game to the Browns. And they got sucker punched by the 49ers coming out of the gates in week 1. They really have not looked amazing. Minkah Fitzpatrick, I think, might be out of the next week's game. That's a huge loss for them. But, I mean, the Raiders just got destroyed by the Bills. They have not looked good. I know they're 1-1, but, they beat a Broncos team that has showed they are very inconsistent. So, I don't know what the odds makers are doing there. Maybe they know something I don't. I could be wrong. Absolutely. I went 8-8 on the week last year. I could be stupid for all I know. But I'm absolutely going to take the Steelers line there. Take the points too, obviously. And on to the Monday night games, because I believe there's 2 Monday night games this week as well. Eagles, Buccaneers. A 5-point line is a lot closer than I would have expected. Honestly, I'm absolutely going to take the Eagles here. And a generous only 5-point line I will also take. I think they win this by at least a touchdown. I know they are 2-0. I know the Buccaneers are 2-0. I understand. But let's be honest. It was against a Bears team that is still very bad. I think we overestimated how much of a jump they were going to make. I will admit, I overestimated how much of a jump they could possibly make. And then they beat a Vikings team that is struggling. Also 0-2, right? They've looked a lot better. I will admit they've looked a lot better than I would have expected. I'm not saying they're going to get, a 20 bomb put on them, but more than 5 points, I'll absolutely take that. I think the Eagles are still a very good team. They've showed that, and they'll show that on Monday Night Football as well. And then last matchup of the week, my Rams on Monday Night Football, 1-1, and I'm feeling pretty good into week 3. Not something I would have expected at the beginning of the season, even if you told me that Cooper Kupp was going to be healthy, which he is not. But yeah, they've played pretty well. They lost to the 49ers, but they played them close. The 49ers are a very good team. They won in week 1. So I'm, after 2 divisional games, I'm feeling good. And the fact that the Bengals are still favored, I think has to do with the fact that Joe Burrow hasn't been declared out yet. I'm not sure that he will. It's possible that he'll play as well. I think they mismanaged whatever this calf injury is. He re-aggravated it last week after their 2nd straight loss. They probably, in hindsight, should have just let him sit the first 2 weeks until he was fully healthy, fully ready, and then I absolutely would have picked the Bengals to beat my Rams here on week 3. But the fact that I'm not confident that he's going to be healthy, and especially I think with the Aaron Rodgers injury, if Aaron Rodgers would not have gotten hurt, I think maybe the Bengals put him out there on Monday Night Football. But the fact that the calf injury in the preseason was the precursor for Aaron Rodgers' Achilles injury, I think the Bengals are not going to want to risk it, and I think they're probably going to sit him. So, if that's my hypothesis, I'm going to have to pick my Rams here. I'm going to have to pick my Rams to go 2-1. Obviously, that means I'm taking the points as well. And I will take that before the lines change. And those are my picks. I feel good about that. I do. the Rams have looked a lot better than I expected, to be for real. And I feel good about those picks, but I also felt good about last week's picks. So we'll see. And yeah, those are my picks. Hopefully I do better. Please, I would love to get my record better on the season. I'm hoping for like 11-5 this week. That would be ideal. If you're still watching this content and you're more expecting the type of content that I've been doing in the past, I'm going to get back to it, the more edited type of stuff. I'm going to get back to it soon, I promise. I got a video in the works. I just needed something to talk about. I've had other stuff going on. I started college back up, so it'll be coming back soon. I'm already working on the script, so don't worry. That'll be coming very soon. And yeah, thank you for watching these videos anyways. If you do like this stuff as well, leave me a like, leave me a comment on what your lock of the week is, and I will see you back here next week. See you.